Hi, welcome to Food and Friends, the television program of the Berkshire Food Project. In a few minutes, we will be speaking to our guest this month, Morgan Ovitsky, the Executive Director of Berkshire Bounty. I want to thank Northern Berkshire Community Television, specifically Dave Fabiano, for helping us start this program. I'm pleased to note that Williamette and Williamstown has picked up our program. I reached out to them, and their Executive Director, Debbie Dane, was most enthusiastic, and we appreciate their interest. I'm also pleased to announce that the Berkshire Food Project has been accepted as a member of the of the Williamstown Community Chest, and we're very pleased about that, to become a member agency with them, and we have long been a member of the Northern Berkshire United Way. Just so people will know, the Food Project is open to dining 11:30 to 1 Monday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Tuesday is a prep day. We've had a busy June, averaging 56 diners per day that were open. Wednesday seems to be a busy day. We're actually filming on a Wednesday. On June 7th, 14th, and 21st, we had 91, 73, and 81 diners, the busiest 3 days of the month. We see new faces all the time. Need is not slowing down and may in fact be increasing, given reductions in COVID-era funding and inflation. At the Food Project, kitchen supply costs have gone down a little bit, but our food costs have increased. The Greater Boston Food Bank recently issued a 16-page report on food insecurity in Massachusetts. In fact, the Berkshire Eagle did a pretty good editorial about it. According to the report, during 2022, food insecurity remained high in Massachusetts, with approximately 1.8 million adults reporting household food insecurity, or 33% of the state's population, quoting the report. Statewide, many people struggle with food insecurity chronically, and that's true here, with 1 in 3 people reporting running out of food and not having enough money to get more food every month. The report found overall 20% of households were experiencing low food insecurity. They also broke down food insecurity, how it varies across Massachusetts. Studies show that the 29% of households in eastern Massachusetts, the largest population of the poor population in the state, are experiencing food insecurity. Among households with children, the prevalence of child-level food insecurity is 43% in Western Mass, 41% in Central Massachusetts, and 32% in Eastern Massachusetts. Child food insecurity data mirrors the household-level data, with Western Massachusetts demonstrating the highest rates of food insecurity, the report showed. So we have still have a problem in Western Massachusetts. We're helped by the Western Massachusetts Food Bank, which serves the 4 westernmost counties in the state. And they're actually moving from Hatfield to Chicopee, and we'll be having an open house on August 18th. They've had some problems accessing and sourcing food, and so our guest today will be talking to us a little bit about how they're helping with food insecurity in Western Massachusetts. So I think I'll close there. One of the things that the report did say that the report highlighted was that people felt that the stigma of going to food pantries and meal programs has diminished in Massachusetts, which is great, because we especially at the Food Project, we want to treat everyone with respect and as equals. And I actually know a lot of the people from my personal life who come, and I've had relatives come there, and I've had friends and someone I've known my whole life who used to be a delivery person for when I lived on North Street, so as a kid. So it's we encourage everyone to come to our meals, whether you are food insecure or not. We'd like to have a community kind of feel at our during our dining, and I think we do. It's since we've reopened to dining in January, I feel that we have really created a good atmosphere, and really people are coming in and visiting, and everyone's having a good time. So with this, I think I'll shift to our guest Morgan, and I've known Morgan for a few years, and she's doing a lot with food insecurity, and she's as I said earlier, the executive director of Berkshire Bounty. Just briefly before, Berkshire Bounty is a food rescue organization dedicated to collecting, purchasing, and delivering food to emergency food distribution programs countywide. And the food project is one of those, and we've set up a pretty good relationship with Berkshire Bounty. So Morgan, I'll turn to you. Could you tell me about Berkshire Bounty?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Mark. Berkshire Bounty, as you said, we're a food rescue organization. So what we do is divert edible food from the landfill. So we work with grocery stores, we work with local farms, we work with other retailers, wholesalers, and we collect any food that is past the point where stores want them on the shelves, but still perfectly healthy. And we take that food and we deliver it to 26 emergency food sites across the county right now.
Okay. And who is in your network of retailers and distributors, and where do you?
Sure. Guido's is one of our biggest supporters. They allow us to collect and purchase food at cost. We work with Big Wise. We work with Whirly's wholesalers. And then we have a whole network of local farms that we work with.
Now, are the farms in Berkshire County or some in adjacent areas?
All the farmers that we work with are in Berkshire County right now.
That's great. So how did it start? I understand that there are two gentlemen, Mark Leffenfeld and Jay Weintraub, who started it.
Yeah, so Mark and Jay are our founders, and they are retired Berkshire transplants from New York City. In their original careers, they both worked on Wall Street and have a heavy finance background. So when they got to the Berkshires, they learned about food insecurity, and they had an idea to collect some of their friends and go to some of their friends' houses that had fruit trees, primarily apples, and pick the fruit and then deliver it to food pantries. So that's where it started. The first year, this was in 2016, the first year was a bad year for apples. So they still managed to collect around 8,000 pounds of food to distribute. And then that grew exponentially each year. In 2019, Mark and Jay combined forces with a gentleman called Mel Greenberg, who had Berkshire Bounty and would do this work, going to grocery stores and collecting the food and distributing it. And the two organizations merged, and Mark and Jay took over. Yeah,
so you had two Berkshire Bounties going, and they merged.
Yeah, the apple tree effort was a backyard bounty of the Berkshires. So the two combined.
That's so the program has grown quite a bit, I guess, since those early days.
It has. So again, in the first year, they collected 8,000 pounds. In 2021, we collected 400,000 pounds. And that was primarily because of COVID and because of the pandemic and because of the increasing numbers in food insecurity, as well as the generosity and interest of more donors to be giving funding for something like this.
And so tell me about your staff. Do you have staff? I know you have a lot of volunteers also.
We do. We work with a network of 130 registered volunteers, and they're the cornerstone of the work that we do. They're the ones doing all the pickups and the drop-offs of food. On staff, we have me as the executive director. I'm about a year into this role. We have Mark and Jay as volunteer operations. We have an operations manager and a volunteer coordinator. We just hired a financial manager and a development director as well.
So that's so you've got plans now. Originally, this was centered more in toward the South County, if I'm right. And I know that you have moved into your program has moved more into North County. Could you tell how the program's expanded and what your future goals are?
Sure. Yeah. So Berkshire Bounty started primarily in South County. That's where Mark and Jay live, and that's where the relationships were. With me on board, or during the pandemic, the effort kind of increased to Pittsfield because of the high need. And then when I was hired, I was tasked with becoming a countywide organization. So having previous relationships with you and Friendship Center and Lewiston House and Williamstown Food Pantry, I was able to make plans to bring food up here and to work with retailers and farmers up in the north here. We have big plans.
Yeah.
As you said, the need is not slowing down. So we are working on coming up with different systems, attracting and soliciting more volunteers from North Berkshire, and having conversations with North Berkshire retailers to collect more food. We have a program that we are doing in conjunction with Berkshire Grown through a grant from the state called the Local Food Purchasing Assistance Program. And that's really allowed us to come into North Berkshire in full force. We work with socially disadvantaged farmers, is who we're targeting, and we are able to pay them retail cost for their crops, and we take those crops and bring them to Berkshire Food Project and Friendship Center and many North Berkshire sites.
So it's Berkshire food for Berkshire people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that you're seeking a grant for a food storage kind of facility. I know I wrote a support letter at one point, and but that's still pending, right?
It is. The funding is pending. So our design of this project is to install a external walk-in and an external freezer in North Berkshire. We've heard from all of the North Berkshire sites that storage capacity is an issue, and that with additional refrigerated storage, we would be able to deliver more food to you. And we also see it as a way to work with farmers up here in a stronger way, so to buy in bulk or to have a place to store the food before we deliver it on your schedule.
Now, you were telling me that you really don't have a headquarters, it's sort of remote working. Now, do you have storage facilities, or does it pretty much you go there and then bring it right up, your volunteers? How does that work? Yeah,
so ideally we go from source to site directly, because that's the safest way to move the food around. There are times where we have the opportunity to pick up food on a Saturday or on a Monday, and food distribution is not until a Wednesday.
Right.
So we have two storage facilities in South Berkshire County. We have a smaller storage shed that's refrigerated on the CHP campus in Great Barrington. And then with Berkshire Grown, we have a very large storage facility at North Plain Farm.
Okay. Now, do you deal with any farmers or distributors in North County or Central County, or is it pretty much South County?
Right now, in North County, we're working with Fullwell Farm.
Okay,
Fullwell Farm, we are paying for their CSA shares, and they're delivering them to you, to Berkshire Food Project. And some is going to Friendship Center as well. We work with some restaurants in North Berkshire County. So the store at Five Corners, we are collecting their baked goods and their prepared meals at the end of the week and bringing them to Lewiston House directly.
That's great.
Yeah,
I know that the Lewiston House has the need for meals. We provide some once a week to them, and that's great.
We're also working with MCLA in their food pantry. Their student population is experiencing high numbers of food insecurity, so we're delivering food to them as well.
That's an interesting thing. We were talking before we went on the air about MCLA. So they recently hired someone to coordinate between BCC and MCLA.
Yeah, MCLA and BCC have a shared grant to hire a food access resource coordinator. So they have hired somebody, and she's working on increasing capacity of the food pantries and figuring out where the gaps and addressing the needs of the students.
Now I know with us, you have been your program has been subsidizing milk for us for quite a while.
Yeah.
In fact, when I came on board the food project in September of 2021, we were already getting milk from, I believe it's Fairlawn Farms, or
Highland Farms.
Highland Farms, and so that's one thing. And but you've moved on. We're getting produce and we're getting meat too. Our food distribution manager, Rich Wilson, it was actually on our first program. He was quite enthused to start. In fact, I've kind of let Rich deal with you directly.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's been. So what kind of things are so your produce, meats, milk, and yeah, that's.
Yeah, we have a really strong focus, and one of the values that we have instilled into the work that we do is to provide nutritious food, and to provide food that's not coming from traditional procurement channels,
Right.
like the food bank. So we focus on using our dollars, our funders to purchase milk and other dairy products. I think you're getting cheese from Cricket Creek right now.
Yep.
And meat and local produce, fresh produce, and eggs.
Eggs. Yep. I was amazed to see eggs. I can remember that last year, when there were a lot more shortages, I went to Walmart and they were like the local Walmart, and there were like three cases of eggs left, and 3 packages of eggs, and I was like, I asked the fellow that worked there, he said, well, that's it, so it's great to get this stuff locally. I mean, the food prices have gone up, and like I said in our introduction, our costs have gone up for food, the kind we order, and I know that between the war in Ukraine affecting bread, and between climate change, and between shortage supply chain issues, that they're actually the food banks have had some trouble acquiring food, so this is, I don't imagine you found that down with the local, though.
Yeah, so we work really closely with the Food Bank of Western Mass, and we keep track of kind of where the gaps are by talking to emergency food sites, and we know that eggs is a big gap. We know that meat has been a big gap. And then there's even some dry goods that have been hard to come by for food pantries, like rice and peanut butter. And,
right, exactly.
So we've been, we spend about 60% of the food that we collect is purchased. So we're using all of our fundraising ability to infuse food into the system by purchasing it.
Well, it's an amazing program. It's really, I'm so pleased to have what we offer at the Food Project. It's supplemented by what you guys can offer, and you like you say, it's nutritious food. It's the staples. It's the basic stuff that we turn just about all that you give us. We turn into meals. We get all kinds of odds and ends from local stores through and we appreciate that, but the stuff you give us is right to meals, and we do give out some things too. And so now, Morgan, you're familiar with Northern Berkshire. You're telling me you live in Hancock, but you were up here for quite a while helping out with I can't even remember the name of the program. Tell me your experience up here in North County.
Sure. So prior to working at Berkshire Bounty, I worked for the Mass in Motion program.
Right.
I was stationed in Central County at Berkshire Health Systems, and I worked with my counterpart, Amanda Chilson, from the Northern Berkshire Community Coalition. The two of us together were tasked with coming up with policy systems and environmental change strategies around equitable access to healthy food. So we, through that work, we did a community food assessment, and in order to do a community food assessment, we pulled together partners regionally. So we had a North Berkshire, a Central Berkshire, and a South Berkshire, and we called them food access collaboratives.
Right.
And this was pulling together stakeholders across sectors to talk about the challenges and the assets in each region around food access, and coming up with some goals and strategies to address those barriers.
Yeah, that was a very good part. Does that program still exist, or is it a different kind of thing now?
Yeah, so Mass in Motion funding, because it was grant funded from the state, went away. I think the community food assessment still exists.
Right.
It's still out there. It's on the Northern Berkshire Community Coalition website. The goals have been moving along in one way or the other through different efforts. We did, during the pandemic, we did an amendment an addendum to the community food assessment around COVID,
Yeah.
and how the landscape of food access has changed, and where the additional challenges were. The Northern Berkshire Food Access Collaborative still exists.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. That's the
Yeah.
last time I saw you was at that meeting.
Sure.
Those are very helpful, by the way.
Yeah, so those meetings meet quarterly, and the group is pulling together to do kind of the next round of community food assessment projects.
Now, you've also done some work of facilitating groups at Williams, right? We've worked with Williams students a little bit, Williams College.
Yeah, in the spring semester, we had 3 interns from Williams College. They're public health seniors, and they worked with us to really examine cultural inclusivity in emergency food sites. So they visited Berkshire Food Project. They did some site visits at Multicultural Bridge. We have a food pantry in Pittsfield called Mercado di Vida. So they really kind of examined where the challenges are in cultural inclusivity. We know that the immigrant population in Berkshire County is growing, and the food access sites are seeing an increase in immigrant population across the county. So the students made some recommendations for the food access sites on how to be more culturally inclusive.
And we're certainly interested at the food project. In fact, I started studying Spanish by myself at home, but I don't know. But I mean, I've noticed we've had a few more Spanish language speakers come through, and I'd like to be, it's very important to try to, and it's, as far as the food, the culturally appropriate foods, I don't know that we're pretty far along on that yet. But I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, but.
So the Latinx population is growing in South Berkshire County at a rapid rate because of the hospitality industry and because of the farms. There's more job opportunities. So we are working with People's Pantry, which is the big food pantry in Great Barrington, and helping to kind of pick out foods and poll the community and kind of pick out the foods that they're looking for and that they're used to in their home countries. More dried beans, plantains, fresh, and mostly fresh food is what they're used to, and that's what we kind of make a strong effort to provide. Well,
that's great, and I think as the county changes and evolves, that'll be more of a need up here. So we'll try to draw on your expertise. And I did attend or I talked to the students from that group also, and so it's an important thing. And so is there anything you'd like to add? I appreciate, I see their clocks are ticking down. I imagine it would eventually. No.
Sure, yeah. I think the most important thing for the community to know is that food insecurity is not letting up.
No.
In fact, it's continuing to increase across the county. So for more information on Berkshire Bounty, you can go to our website, berkshirebounty.org. You can email me at info@berkshirebounty.org or call, and we're happy to talk more about what we're doing, and we're happy to take donations so we can continue to purchase high quality, nutritious food and get it to the organizations that distribute it to the community.
Well, Morgan, thank you. And I'm just going to have a few closing remarks here.
Sure, thank you.
Really appreciate it. It's like I said, a fantastic program. It's really boosted what we're able to do. And I know I'm on the board of the Friendship Center, and they're also thrilled. And speaking of the Friendship Center, I was talking to Rich Davis, who's their food distribution coordinator, and he said the amount of people going through is up 20% from last year. So need, like Morgan said, the need is increasing. In 2022, in the COVID, we were still in the COVID era format at the food project, and we gave out close to 100,000 meals in 2022. And this year, back to indoor dining 4 days a week, we're seeing a lot of need. I'm seeing new people all the time. We're seeing new people all the time. And just so you'll know, and those who are new to us, and where the Berkshire Food Project is located in the Assembly Hall of the First Congregational Church of North Adams. People gather at the corner of Ashland and what's the name of that street? Summer Street. If you come to the front of the church address is 134 Main, but we're actually in back. So I've had to go through the sanctuary and tell people go around. Our website is www.berkshirefoodproject.org. We have a Facebook page, we have a new Instagram page, and we have a bi-monthly newsletter, and actually the second issue of the newsletter will be come out. That's called Berkshire Food Project News and Notes. You can get on our mailing list if you email me at the director at berkshirefoodproject.org. If you would like to support our mission, you can volunteer by contacting me at the same email address. It's on the screen. And to support Berkshire Food Project financially, you can give through our website. We have a PayPal link in there, and or you can write a check to the Berkshire Food Project Inc. And mail it to Post Office Box 51 North Adams. That's Post Office Box 51 North Adams. And I could say that we have, I've often said this is my hometown, and it's a wonderful giving community, and the whole Berkshires is that way, and we pull together and we take care of each other. And I want to hand out to everybody we have some great programs in the area, including not only us in the Friendship Center, but Lewison House and the Food Project in Williamstown, and I know Adams is working to get a new food pantry down there. I don't want to give any information that's incomplete, but I'd just say people are working on doing that. I'm not sure exactly where that is at this point. And and just so you'll know, there was the good report I accessed earlier it's from the Greater Boston Food Bank, and it's called Food Equity and Access. It was a 16-page report. And it has a lot of good information in it if you're looking for, it just came out recently. In fact, the Berkshire Eagle did a pretty good editorial on it on June 1st. And that's where I found out the report is. And they have a lot of goals and everything, and they say, they've got one thing here that in the last 12 months, households in Massachusetts, 70% had to choose between paying for utilities or food, or transportation or food, 68%, or school or tuition, 44%. So food insecurity it's an ongoing issue, and we have a lot of great organizations here. And forgive me for calling the Food Project great, but it was great before I got there, and it's still great. And Berkshire Bounty is a great program, and we appreciate everyone who's supporting us. And I really appreciate Morgan coming here for this, and we're going to have a program next time. I don't know who the guest is going to be for our next program, but we're looking forward to you, and I want to thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you next time.